Ladies and gentlemen, the Batman is upon us. It's your boy Icon with some DC movie reviews, and we are going over the Batman. And this was definitely worth the wait. I have to say, we've seen the trailers and the teasers and the blah, 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 and the talk about, people playing certain characters and everything. But when it came together, this is a damn good movie. I mean, even with like Robert Pattinson, being cast as Batman, I know people weren't seeing it. Like everybody saw him as the Twilight guy, but he, I have to give it up to him. Like, I definitely enjoyed this film. I thought it was awesome, and we're here to talk about it. So the movie starts, I believe it's year 3 of Bruce Wayne. I believe they said it was year 3 of Bruce Wayne being Batman. And it takes place with the movie felt straight out of the Arkham video game series, where you got the criminals running over, scaring people, chasing people, and then it starts with Batman actually narrating the whole thing, oh, there's criminal scum, deep within the city, and they think that I don't see them. He's like, they don't think they think that if they hide in the shadows, or they think that they see me in the shadows, but little do they know I am the shadows. And it was it was one of those things where I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But at the same time, I was like, I hope he doesn't narrate throughout the whole film. It kind of reminded me of the first couple of episodes of Arrow. And then, we see the scene where the people dressed up in the Joker paint, they had trapped that poor guy at the train station, and then the Batman comes out of the shadows, and it was funny because the guy, the black kid in the beginning, who was one of the clown people, the one who actually didn't want to shoot the Asian guy that they were picking on. He was Tim Drake from from Titans. Because the whole time I'm watching, and I'm just like, I know this ain't Tim Drake, T Dreezy. So that was cool. So on Earth 9, I think Titans is Earth 9. On Earth 9, Tim Drake is the next Robin, and then on whatever Earth the Batman is on, he's a coward. So he comes out of nowhere, he beats everybody. And the fight scenes were done very cool too, because it was done like the Arkham game, where he would fight one guy, punch one guy, somebody would shoot him from behind, then he had to break limbs, and then they did the thing where he kept beating the guy over and over and over again. So it was definitely done very well. There was a very Westerns, Clint Eastwood, aspect to it. Every time Batman showed up and came out of the shadows, he always stepped really hard, and you heard his boots chingling, that was also you almost heard the doo 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 doo, but then we get taken to the crime scene, because him and Jim Gordon, they're already a team. They're already clicked up. They're already together. Jim's not the commissioner yet, but him and Batman, there's a bat symbol. They already have a bat symbol. So him and Jim Gordon, they already work together. And it's not the type of thing where on the Batman animated series, where the police were doing their thing, surveilling the area, taking evidence, and then Batman would be in the shadows and he would talk to Jim Gordon through the shadows. This man, Pattinson, he just walked right into the crime scene and just started picking shit up, just started touching stuff, and everybody was like, yo, who's this masked freak, and everything. And but then we get the Riddler stuff. The Riddler had left the clue. So pretty much what happens in the film, because the spoilers, we're going to spoil the shit out of this. Pretty much what happens in the film, the Riddler leaves a bunch of clues based on certain people that he's going to kill. The Riddler targeted and killed certain politicians, certain police officers, certain elected officials. The whole thing was designed for him to get retribution and get his revenge. But he was intrigued by who the Batman was, and he felt that the Batman was somebody that was on his level mentally. So he kept leaving riddles and clues for Batman to solve. And although I didn't like the costume, I liked the guy that they picked for the Riddler, because he seemed like an Edward Nygma. He seemed like somebody that would be a Riddler. When they was asking what does a dead body do after it's dead, and the answer was it continues to lie. Because they said he was talking about the lies that certain politicians were telling. So the Riddler was picking these people off one at a time, and it was up to Batman and Commissioner Gordon to try to stop them. Now, the way Catwoman plays in all this, and this was kind of dope as well. This takes us to the mob aspect of it, where we have, whenever you do something Gotham based, there's always Falcone in them. The Penguin was there. The Penguin actually worked for Falcone. He was Falcone's understooge. And there was something going on with Falcone where Selena Kyle was the one who was trying to, like she was trying to find information on Falcone. She was trying to like dig into Falcone. Because what happened was the type of people that was being targeted by the Riddler, they found out that they all had connections to the mob, and that they were all like crooked politicians and crooked cops. So of course Batman goes and talks to Falcone about it, and then he bumps into Selina Kyle, and then he finds out that Selina Kyle is doing surveillance on Falcone as well. So he tries to team up with her to get him, because she was like, well, if his whole thing was, if you have access to his clubs, you can go in there on my behalf, and then you can find out some information for me. And her whole thing was she was just trying to locate the information about her dead friend, because she had a friend that used to work for the club, and then she wound up dead, and Selina was trying to figure out like how she died and who killed her, but Batman wasn't really that concerned about the girl. He was just more concerned about getting the information on Falcone. But the two of them decided to team up anyway, because then they could probably help each other with what each other was doing. The Cat and the Bat, like, they team up. They try to infiltrate the Falcone dynasty. Like, Selina has this awkward moment where she bumps into Falcone, but then when she goes downstairs, Bruce had given her the contact lenses to where he can scan people's faces, and then that's when he knew that there were crooked cops everywhere, there were crooked people. And one thing that kept getting brought up, everybody kept mentioning a rat. Like, they said that there was a rat that basically spilled the beans on the entire drug operation, because Falcone had a drug ring somewhere, and somebody had leaked that information to the GCPD, and the GCPD busted that whole operation, which was the biggest bust in GCPD history. That's what they kept saying. They were trying to find out who the rat was, because if you can find out who the rat is, then the rat can tell you who's really behind like this whole mob situation, and behind everything, that's going on with the mob. But also at the same time, we still have to stop the Riddler, because the Riddler's targeting the mayor. Like, he's targeting like the police captain, like he's targeting all these people that were corrupt and they failed Gotham. So the whole thing tied in very well, because I thought that the Penguin mob situation, the Riddler situation, and Selina Kyle, I thought they were all going to be three separate things that Batman just had to deal with during the course of the film. But they did a very good job of having all three of those storylines mesh together very well. Alfred was there as well, and Alfred was trying to get Bruce Wayne, to be Bruce Wayne and not so much Batman, because Robert Pattinson was not, well, he was Batman 100%. And he hasn't discovered the millionaire, billionaire, playboy aspect of his personality again, which again makes perfect sense, because this is only year 3. But, Alfred did a good job of trying to ground him and keep him, still keep him centered on, on the Wayne dynasty. So then Jim Gordon and Batman end up figuring out that Penguin could potentially be the mole, because first of all, he's a sniveling coward anyway. And if anybody was going to sell out the mob, of all people, it had to be the Penguin. So they roll up on the Penguin. That's when we get that cool, Batman car scene where he knocks the Penguin's car over and then starts walking towards him. But then while they were talking to the Penguin basically told him, he was like, I'm not the rat, I'm not the stool pigeon. And they, he was bringing up some facts about who had access to this and who had access to that. And then they were just like, well, shit, the Penguin actually had nothing to do with this, because somebody tried to take a shot at him too. Somebody tried to kill him. And then Selina had found her friend's dead body in the I believe it was the commissioner she found her friend's dead body in the commissioner's trunk. So she knew the commissioner was dirty, so she went after him. And then Batman tried to stop her. And then after Batman tried to stop her, the Riddler had sent Batman one more riddle. He was like, oh, bring the rat out into the light, so he can be exposed. And then towards the end of the film, we find out that, because they were talking about the rat-a-tata, the rat with wings, So, and when they said the rat with wings, I automatically assumed it was the Batman, but he wouldn't be the mole for that situation. But then we find out that thanks to a recording, because Selina's friend had recorded the conversation of the night that she died. And the conversation had Falcone on the other end as the person who killed her. So once Selina found out that, she went to go kill Falcone. Batman tried to stop her, but then she told Batman, that, Falcone was her father. Because there was also a moment where Selina had stole a lot of Falcone's money. And then Bruce was just like, oh, so that whole thing about your friend was a lie. You just wanted to steal the money. And then she was like, no, he's my father. And he disowned me and he never wanted to have anything to do with me. And me taking this money is me getting what's mine, for everything that he neglected. But she said, I'm also going to kill this son of a bitch for what, for what he did to my friend. Now that they know that Falcone is the person behind everything. They go down to his club, they whoop his ass, you know, say like Selena goes in, Selena whoops his ass. Batman stops Selena from killing him. They put the handcuffs on him because they had the recording that he killed the girl, and then they put the handcuffs on him and walk him right out of the building. When they walk him right out of the building, somebody shot him in the chest and then he died. And then when they looked up, they saw that it was the Riddler that was sitting in the window, and he was across the street from Falcone's bar the whole time. When the Riddler sent Batman that whole, you know, riddle about walking him into the light, the Riddler even said, because later on, like, they caught the Riddler at a diner, but the Riddler even said, he was just like, I'm not a strong person. He was like, I don't have like brawn and like strength. He said, my strength is up here. He's like, I'm a genius. I couldn't physically go in there and whoop his ass and bring him outside, but you could. So thanks to you, he was like, you know, we worked well together. You walked him right out into the light where I could get a clear shot at him and kill his ass, you know. And then they ended up taking the Riddler to jail. And then that's when the Riddler told Batman when he was in prison that it's not over yet, because he said everybody's going to have to suffer. And he did this thing where he blew up the Gotham Dam to force everybody into Gotham Square Garden. And then when he forced them into Gotham Square Garden, he was going to pick everybody off one by one, because he was going to kill all the politicians. And then, you know, right before he killed all the politicians, Batman showed up. He started fighting the gunmen, and then Selina came to help him out, because after she got justice for her friend, you know, and after Batman talked her off the ledge, you know, like she ended up like helping him out. And then the two of them stopped the whole situation. They saved the people that were being targeted. And then, you know, there was the scene where Batman ended up trying to help one kid, like the mayor's son, because when the mayor got killed, the mayor's son was an orphan. You know, Batman kind of felt bad for him because he's an orphan too. And then, like, you know, like they share something together. So he kind of like felt for the kid, you know, like the kid extended the arm and allowed him to help him. And then Batman kind of like saved the day, and he was just standing there outside in front of everybody. Like, not hiding not hiding at all. He's just standing there in the middle of the day, you know, but he kind of got looked at in regard as like, you know, like a hero, and the people felt that they could kind of trust him. Then when they showed the Riddler in jail, he was having like this other criminal was next door having a conversation, and then he was like, oh, can't you take a joke? And then he started laughing. So obviously that's the Joker. He just hadn't fallen into the vat of chemicals yet, which is kind of cool. Now that Falcone is dead, Penguin is basically like, you know, the king of Gotham, you know, for the Gotham fans. He's like, yeah, I'm the king of Gotham. Like, he's going to try to be the king of Gotham now. Riddler and Joker are going to team up. And then Selina ended up taking the money that she got from her daddy, and then she fled the town. But, you know, her and Bruce kissed. And then Bruce, you know, basically, and well, in the end, you know, Bruce had to deal with some stuff too, because the sins of everything that the Riddler was doing, he also included the Waynes on that, because the Waynes were supposed to do this project that was supposed to help the community, but they never got a chance to help, you know, like get that project off the ground. So the Riddler tried to target Bruce Wayne, and instead of him targeting Bruce Wayne, he accidentally almost killed Alfred because Bruce wasn't home because he's the Batman. And, you know, that was kind of cool. Like, they brought up like the Arkham family, how like the Waynes and the Arkhams were like the two, you know, richest families, and they built the Arkham project or whatever. But it was, like I said, it was definitely done very, you know, very well. You know, I give them a lot of credit. I definitely give them a lot of credit for making Selina's role in the movie. It's not like she was just like the random female love interest character that popped in and popped out. She tied into the overall storyline. Her being Falcone's daughter tied into the storyline. Falcone being the person that basically controlled, you know, like all the politicians and cops in Gotham, that tied into the storyline. The Penguin being his right-hand man, because everybody basically thought the Penguin was the rat, and, you know, all the odds were on Penguin. And then you find out Penguin actually, you know, had nothing to do with it. So that tied in. You know, like even the whole thing with the Riddler, why the Riddler chose those people because they were corrupt working for Falcone. That whole thing tied in. And like I said, I thought the movie was done extremely well. Like, you know, like I give it a 9, you know, like I definitely give it a 9. And I thought the fight scenes were good. The length of the movie didn't bother me. Like, the length didn't bother me, because it was a detective film. Like, I felt like I was watching like a really cool, good old fashioned like detective movie where you have to think and you have to try to resolve the issues and find out what's going on. And then you have to, like, it made you use your brain to try to, you know, like discover this plot and discover this storyline. There are a lot of twists and turns here. You got to follow the riddles to a T. But like I said, I honestly can't complain. It was done very well. Ben Affleck is always going to be my favorite Batman, but Robert Pattinson, like, he definitely cemented, you know, cemented himself as part of the Bat lineage in a different way than the previous Batmans before him. And like, you know, and then the movie ends with him and Selina going their separate ways. And obviously they hinted at a part 2 now because the Joker came into play because he was talking to the Riddler. So like I said, that was it. You know, like I said, and thank you for tuning in. You know, again, I like Jim Gordon, you know, like I mean, he was a little too like gumshoe cop at times where it's like, oh, what are you gonna do? See, you know, like, you know, you're not gonna try to help the police department. See, like he was a little like, you know, he was a little like Chicago gangstery like Dick Tracy is at some point. But I like Jim Gordon, you know, like I like the Penguin, like, you know, like that transformation was crazy, you know. Like I said, I like the Riddler. I love Selina as Catwoman. Like she fit the role to a T. This was very good casting. Like the people that were chosen for this film, like it was very good casting, and it was definitely done very well. So I can't not say, you know, bad things about it. The Riddler is my favorite DC villain of all time. So, you know, if I can make a complaint about the whole thing, I just hated the costume that the Riddler wore throughout the entire movie. But other than that, like I said, there is nothing bad about this movie in my opinion. So definitely check it out. Go see it while it's in theaters, and, you know, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. You know, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram as always. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because we do all things DC and we do Marvel as well. You know, I got Superman and Lois coming out on the channel. You know, I got Naomi on the channel. I still have to do my season finale reviews for Batwoman and for Legends of Tomorrow. And, you know, we still got Young Justice coming up soon, and we'll conclude that as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. So until next time for some more movie action, leave a comment down below about what you thought of the Batman. We'll share our questions, comments, concerns. And until next time, keep it dark for the night and about this bitch.